Oh, blimey. Andy Fong saying go on, Leslie. Scott, obviously, the two-time race winner so far this season. Looking to try and make it a hat-trick here tonight. Be a clean sweep of win so far if we can win tonight. Shin Bakui says come on as well. Don't know who Shin Bakui is supporting tonight, but let us know, Shin Bakui, who you're here supporting. We know Andy Fong supporting. Oh, Shin Bakui says he's also supporting David Leslie as well. I thought it was Scott Leslie. I mean, is his name Scott? Is his name David? What is it? Come on, guys. That's me thinking his name was Scott. To be fair, I know he used to be called Davidoff, but I thought that was a nickname. I don't know. I mean, who knows? Who knows? It's none of my business, really. I just commentate on whatever name is in front of me. Are you the commentator who got steaming last season on stream? No. Of course not. Who would have done that? See if I would have done a thing like that. I think you probably picked the worst date ever to actually tune in, because almost always when I'm steaming, I just don't do the comms. This was a rare occasion where I actually turned up, having been to the pub and had a skinful, and the only reason was because my mate who I was commentating with was kind of like, well, I was trying to help him out, and I was basically giving him like a tenner for every stream. That's the only reason I turned up to that stream, was because he was basically getting paid a small amount of money to do the co-coms, and if it hadn't been for that, I would have just jacked it in. But there was just one occasion where I just had to do it. And didn't go well. But anyway, here we are, back again for round 3 of this 14 round season here for the Purple Sector Formula 1 League, as we've got 16 drivers on the track here tonight. A very nice turnout indeed, as a few old faces rejoining us and a couple of reserve drivers as well. C. Faulkner, the star of last week's race in the second round at Bahrain, is joining us once again to try and make it 2 podiums in the space of 2 weeks. I remember you had to go be sick. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. David Leslie was sick on stream. No, I was sick. You couldn't actually hear me being sick. I did go off. I was out of earshot, but yeah, I was very unwell on that particular night, and I could barely string a sentence together. I really don't know how I managed to get to the end of the race, but one thing I found quite funny, I went and revisited it a while afterwards, because I'd never watched it back until maybe about a couple of months ago. And at first I was surprised how recent it was, because I thought it was like maybe about 2 years ago, and it wasn't. It was literally like about a year ago. It was March last year. I was actually really surprised at how recent it was, but also just how long I was away for, because I think in my recollection I'd been gone maybe 1 or 2 minutes, but on the stream I was literally gone for about 10 minutes. And my mate was just sort of sat there, and obviously he's a co-commentator and he doesn't really do league commentary, so he was just sort of sat there waiting for me, and I was messing about. Oh my God, it was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. And it's something that, well, now you know that if I'm Stephen, I probably just won't do the comms. Nowadays, if I go to the pub and have a few beers, then I usually just don't turn up. Sorry guys, but I've got to be honest. But anyway, drivers are currently on their outlaps, about to put the first flying laps in of the session here. So we're 3 minutes into this third round of the season qualifying session here at the Principality, the Circuit de Monaco here at Monte Carlo. And we've currently got C. Faulkner here coming through Sandevot. We've got Street Boy in the pits. G.C. currently on an outlap. We've got Drago coming towards the end of his first flying lap. Let's see what Drago's able to put on the board here in the McLaren. Up towards the line we go. and it comes over, and it's a 1:12.3 there from Drauga on his first run of the session. We've got Klen just making a bit of a mistake there coming out of the chicane, which would have cost him ever so slightly. We've got T also out there. T making his first appearance in what feels like ages. I don't think I've seen T out on track for, I don't think this season. I think actually towards the end of last season, I think he wasn't around. So it's great to see T back on track. Obviously one of the admins here at Purple Sector alongside Matty. Scott's gone top of the leaderboard, although Justify has just gone and trumped that by 1.4 seconds there, so it's not even close. Justify has absolutely blown them out of the water there with a 1:10.8. Scott second with Drago third. Smart Pleasure just been pushed down the order because White Shadow has gone up into fourth place for the time being. T chiming in there with a P5. Smart Pleasure currently in sixth with Truckee seventh, and Klen after that mistake that we saw going through the chicane. I can only assume that wasn't his only mistake of the lap, because he's also about 8 seconds off of the pace at the moment. But we know that Klen has got plenty of pace around this track. We've seen in previous seasons, Klen has had some incredible displays around this track, so there's certainly going to be opportunities for him. But in terms of the situation at the top of the leaderboard, C. Fortin has gone slightly quicker than Scott, so he's up into second place at the moment, but none of them even close to Justify. And Justify, we know, is going to be out there with a vengeance tonight, having been pretty close to the win on both occasions so far this season, both at China and Bahrain, and he's definitely going to be out there with a score to settle tonight against Scott, who's taken the first 2 wins of the season. We've got G.C. currently in second place, having got ahead of C. Fortner and Scott there, and in fact everybody else apart from Justify so far in this session. As Klen there goes into third place for the time being, about a second off of the pace, just over at the moment. Is Scott doing this for Scotland? I think he must be, mate. I think he must be. We've got John here coming towards the end of a flying lap, I think, at the moment, or is it an in lap? I'm not quite sure at the moment. Let's see what he's able to do. Into Raskas we go with the Ferrari driver, and he's going around here to finish the lap. Here he comes then through Anthony Noakes, and what's he going to be able to put on the board here? Up towards the line comes John, and stays in P10 for the time being. Street Boys out there, so is Truckee. Truckee's coming through the final part of the lap. Did he cut the corner there? I think he may well have done. That would have probably been the track limits, and I imagine an invalidated lap time as well. As he comes through the final corner now, Truckee towards the line. What is it going to be for Truckee? So here he comes over the line, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it was P9 there. Not bad from Truckee. A very solid lap there from him. As I think you may have just experienced a bit of break up there on the stream. I just had a bit of a warning on my phone, but I think it was all good. YouTube's about 8 seconds behind real life at the moment, but I've got the YouTube playing in the background on my monitor, so I know that if there's any problems with the stream, I shall know very quickly. So Justify currently setting the pace at the moment on a 1:10.8, just over a second clear of G.C. at the moment after the first run. So it's very, very dominant pace so far from Justify, the driver who has been second in both of the races so far this season. Obviously took the second place in the championship as well 2 seasons ago. So lots of seconds for Justify. I'm sure would love to reverse that trend here tonight and maybe get a P1. But yeah, currently Justify still on provisional pole, but G.C.'s actually closing up ever so slightly. It was just over a second, so G.C.'s found about a tenth or so on the latest lap that he's done, so or maybe a couple of tenths, but he's now within 9 tenths of the provisional pole time. So definite improvement there for G.C. White Shadow is teasing us a bit here. He's letting us know in the comments on the YouTube channel, on the YouTube stream, potential rain for the race. Is the forecast 100% accurate, White Shadow, or does it have the potential to be slightly wrong? Because I know that on the F1 game you can make it so that the forecast gives you an idea but isn't always right. But that could be very exciting indeed, especially if it's a wet race as well. I've never seen a wet race, wet Monaco at night. I don't think. Bit of rain never killed anyone, mate. I wouldn't say that, Mole Reaper. I mean, I don't really want to give any examples, but there was quite a. I mean, I suppose in the context of, you know, actual rain itself, no, but I mean, it definitely increases the risk in motor racing. But anyway. Moving on, we've got Scott coming towards the end of this lap as he comes through to back and into the harbour chicane, down towards the swimming pool now for Scott, currently the P5 runner here in this qualifying session, having taken the first 2 wins of the season here at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. Here he comes then, through Anthony Noakes, and is he going to be able to improve on P5? Up towards the line he comes. And Scott does improve, and a very handy lap time indeed there. Gets himself within half a second of the top time being set by Justify. Still though, Justify the man to beat, and obviously has not done a lap now for a few minutes, so the track conditions are going to be constantly improving over the course of this one, which means that we're more than likely going to see Justify shave a few tenths off of that on his next run. And who knows, could have 2 more runs here in this session before we get to the end of it. So plenty to do here for the others, plenty for Justify to be pretty content with at this point. But then again, with the rain forecast for the race, it could be a very different race from what we see in qualifying. That's one thing that in a dry Monaco you can generally expect a similar running to what you see in qualifying, but when it's wet, it really does throw it up in the air ever so much. So it could be very exciting to see how it all pans out over the course of this one. But at the moment, Justify is your provisional pole sitter as we're over halfway through this qualifying session here. As we've got G.C. on his way out the pits. Clen's coming through the Nouvelle chicane. Currently in 4th place at the moment is our 2-time champion here of Purple Sector. Obviously didn't win the championship last season. It was Badman who wrestled his crown away from him last season. But through the final few quarters he comes. G.C. says hello. Hello, G.C. G.C. currently P3 at the moment in this session, and commenting on the stream as well. A man of many talents here tonight. We've got Clen up towards the line, currently P4 and stays in P4. I don't think that was an out lap, was it? No, it wasn't. That was a flying lap. So is Clen going to go for another one here? We'll have to keep an eye on him in a second. In fact, let's stay with him for the time being, see what his first sector's like. Davidoff, otherwise known as Scott there, saying praying for rain. First one to crash out should keep Andy company on commentary, says White Shadow. I'll take that, although you have to invite yourself into the party, so there might be a bit of a stumbling block, because I can't really, once I'm streaming, if I do anything on there, it will just cloud the stream, so it's probably best not, to be honest. Unless there's a safety car, then it might work. I mean, if someone comments on the YouTube stream asking to be invited, I could. The problem is I don't have headphones. That's the only thing. The only problem is that I don't have any headphones. I do commentary on it with a studio mic. So the studio mic's got its own tripod, sits on this sort of little table. It's actually a bedside table, but I use it as a desk. It's got what I need. I mean, it's got my keyboard, it's got my mouse, it's got my mic, and I can put my phone on it so I can use it using remote play. And it's just a little bedside table that I use as a desk, and on it is my studio mic. But I don't really have any headphones. Wouldn't actually know where to look to get them. They're somewhere, I know, but I think they're in a box full of crap somewhere. But probably best if I don't, to be honest with you. Great at what you do, fantastic driver, father, friend and beast. Says Tom coming on. I'm assuming that's a message to Davidoff. Scott Leslie there, who says that he's hoping the rain's going to fall tonight. Obviously, on the current evidence of what we're seeing in the qualifying, Justify seems to be a little way ahead of him at the moment, so I can see why he might be hoping that the rain throws things up in the air a little bit. But there's still time in this session. Who knows what could happen? I mean, if Scott can nail that with the track conditions improving and Justify makes a mistake and can't improve, then we could be seeing Scott on pole. It's certainly not the end of the world. and even if he isn't on pole, there's plenty he can do from the front row in tricky conditions, which we're expecting over the course of the Grand Prix very shortly. Justify back out on the circuit on a flying lap here by the looks of it. Let's see. Drauga's gone up into second place. Drauga with a fantastic lap there, 111.0 so far, so has very much thrown his hat into the mix here. And that's a superb lap there. Scott's teammate, the championship leader's teammate currently, very much showing that the McLarens have got two drivers who could be in the thick of it here this season. Tom says, David Leslie, the holy driver, he hates the Huns. Who are the Huns? Out of interest, I know that there must be a football team, but I don't know who. Hi Andy, says Badman. Hello Badman, good to see you, mate. Badman, the reigning champion of Purple Sector. I don't want to say that he was asked to leave, but I don't want to speculate. But obviously, I know Badman, very, very quick driver. But yeah, it was. You drove well on Sunday night, Badman. The race at Spain. I thought you were going to get Antanas at the end there. It was a good chase towards the end. I thought you were going to get him, but I think, yeah, I think he was able to save his tyres, being at the lead pack of those cars, wasn't he? It seemed like he was just able to look after them out the front. But anyway, we've got Justify retiring from the session. Jalga and Scott both in the pits here. So they're going to be probably putting some fresh tyres on for these final runs. As we've got Tom there saying, yes, he is what I call a turbo beast. My mum said, use are bad people, says Andy Fong. I mean, what is going on in the chat? What on earth is going on in the chat at the moment? This is chaos. I'm just going to stop reading the comments. I think that's probably best, because I'm struggling to keep up with this. I just need to stop looking. Batman saying it was a great race. Yeah, when you got up into P2, I thought you were going to chase him down it, but it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be. But that's a cracking championship battle between you two, I've got to say, in that one. As we see a lot, I think we see some chronic VPN usage in the comments here at the moment, so we're just going to ignore what's going on there. I think if I could just, my brain is really struggling to block it out, but I probably need to try and ignore it. We need some flying laps to come in so to distract me from this carnage that's going on. Right, we've got Glenn here coming through towards the end of the first sector. Let's see what he's up to. I didn't even get the graphics up. I've got the whole qualifying session without the lap time graphics. That is incredible. What have I been doing this entire time? I mean, I call myself a commentator and I can't even do my job correctly. As we've got Glenn here coming under the tunnel, and he's going to hit the brakes in just a moment for the Nouvelle chicane. Let's see how he can attack it here. Currently P5 at the moment is Glenn. He's over a second off of the pace, so he's got work to do here in these final couple of laps. Justify is in the pit, so he's not going to improve. It's a golden opportunity here for the likes of Draga, Scott, G.C. and Glenn to try and improve. Seabank not a million miles away either. Here he comes then, Glenn into the final few corners of this lap. The two-time champion of Purple Sector, looking to try and get pole once again here at Monaco. It's been a while, but he's not going to get pole here. He's well off as he comes to the final part of the lap. 2 seconds off the pace, and Glenn is not going to be too happy with that. He's going to probably go for another lap here, I would have thought. Scott about to start a lap here, currently in P3 at the moment. We've got Jager also out on the track. G.C. in the pits is not going to improve at the end of this session, so it's going to be between Scott and maybe Glenn, if he's got the tyres, to go for another run here. Currently a 10th up through the first sector. On board here with the two-time champion. Into the Lowe's hairpin he goes. A little bit wide on the exit, just I think maybe trail braked a bit and then let off the throttle slightly too much as he went into the corner. But here he comes then, Scott now through the tunnel. Now let's see what he's able to do here. Looks like he slightly hesitant there in the mid part of the corner. Down towards the back once again here for Glenn. So Scott, in fact T's just come up into P5, so T's done a lovely lap there. Scott's going to be next over the line ahead, just a bit ahead. No, he's not. Sorry, he's a bit behind Glenn. So Clem next over the line. He's currently a 10th up. Oh, he's backed out. He's made a mistake. So that's going to be that then for Clen. So Scott could be the one to take pole position away here from Justify. Here he comes out of the final corner. The driver who's won the first 2 races of the season. Can he snatch pole away? He can't do it. He's third place here tonight for Scott. As Justify holds on to P1. Drauga is second place as well. So Scott will be on the second row for the start of this race. G.C. will be behind them. So it's going to be Justify, Drauga, Scott, G.C. at the top 4 with T 5th and Clen 6th. C-Mac finished in 7th in the qualifying session in the end, with C. Fortner down in P8. We got Rexy Boy and White Shadow completing the top 10, followed by Trucky Street Boy with Mango and Smart Pleasure, and John and Matty Pitt, who retired from the session early on, will be starting from 16th place here for this one. Oh, goodness me. Oh, dear.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building.
Here we are then, everybody. We are moments away from the start of the Monaco Grand Prix here for round 3 of this 14 round season for season 15 here at the Pebble Sector Formula 1 League. Got 16 drivers on the grid here for this one. Justify putting on pole position with a 110.8 in qualifying, the only driver to get a sub 1 minute 11 for this one. But we got Drauga, who was almost in the 110s, and Scott about a 10th off of him in 3rd place. But this is it then. This is it for the 3rd round of the season. So the drivers just coming around the final few corners of the lap, moments away from taking their grid spots. And it's going to be an exciting one. Got a mix-up, a little bit of a mix-up. Not massive, actually. We've only got 2 drivers not on the medium tyres. Those ones being White Shadow and John for this one. So White Shadow on the soft tyres. John's gone for the hard tyres. So John will be struggling a bit in the first stint, but obviously overtaking's so difficult around here. Yes, Nana?
There's football on.
That's alright. You watch the football. You watch the football. I'm going to do this, alright? You need to not interrupt me. You need to not interrupt me because I'm busy. So here we are then. Lights are on at the head of the grid as we're about to start the Monaco Grand Prix. And it's lights out and we're underway. as Justify there gets a good start from pole. Looks like he's going to be well ahead of Drago into turn 1. As what side by side is Scott and G.C. G.C. there trying to make that move, but Scott has survived for the time being as they come up the hill and has maintained third place for the time being. G.C. tucks in for the time being as they come up. Oh no, and that's a collision there. Clen tapping the car in front of him as they came through that long left-hander going in towards the casino area, and Clen's gone down to 13th place so far in this one. C. Fortin's up a place here, up into 7th place so far. Well, in fact, actually I think there was a bit of swap over in positions there between himself and maybe C-Mac, or it might have been Rexy Boy, but in the meantime Justify out the front, leading as they come through the tunnel here for the first time, with Draga there in 2nd place. There's Scott currently ahead of G.C. as T about a second behind them at the moment in 5th place. C-Mac there ahead of C. Faulkner, with Rexy Boy, White Shadow and Mango completing the top 10. Then you've got Trucky a little way behind them with Smart Pleasure. Street Boy Clen down to 14th place on this opening lap. It's been a disaster here for him, as John there running in 15th place ahead of Matty Pitt, who's rounding out the classification at the moment in 16th place as they come through Raskas here at the end of the first lap. Justify still holding the lead ahead of Drago for the time being. Clen's managed to pick off Street Boy up into 13th place. That's 1 position regained here for Clen so far after a absolute horror show as they came up through towards the Casino Square part of the circuit, the same part of the lap that they're just going through now. And Justify there ahead of Drago, so with Scott, G.C. the top 4 have broken away. T there ahead of C-Mac with C. Fortin and Rexy Boy, White Shadow and Trucky completing the top 10, and a bit of a gap back to Mango there, who's well clear of Matty running in 12th place. We see Smart Pleasure, Street Boy and Clen all in the pits. Matty Pitt's got ahead of John up into 12th place, so that's a move that he's completed there for position. But at the moment the leaders coming through the tunnel here for the first time, and the gap between Justify and Draga just under a second at the moment, so Draga's clinging to the coattails of the race leader for the time being. These guys are a little bit ahead of Scott at the moment, running in 3rd place, who's got G.C. Actually, to be fair, he's pulled a bit of a gap into G.C. now as well, so Scott's now over a second ahead of the Red Bull. And then you've got T, who's managed to almost get out of the second range here to C-Mac in these early stages of the race. Rexy Boy's pretty close on C. Faulkner in his fight for 7th place as they come through the swimming pool, and he might fancy a move going down the start finish straight. Pardon me. Justify there doing the fastest lap of the race that last time around from P1 here on the track at this moment in time, but here he comes up the hill. He's currently got just over a second into Straga, so setting into a bit of a rhythm at the moment is Justify, as C-Mac here really starting to up the ante here on the back of T. And you've also got Rexy Boy, who's trying to force the issue here with C. Faulkner as well, having a little look to the inside. They all kind of take that line because that bump going towards that part of the track, if going through Massenet, can be pretty lethal. We've got John into the pits here at the end of lap 2, so I don't know if something's happened to him there in regards to damage, but he's coming in as Clen running in P13 after that early calamity there for him, which has left him way down the order. But Justify currently leading the race. They come through to back once again. And they're starting to just be a bit strung out here, the leaders at this point. So Justify settling into a rhythm. C-Mac looking the most likely driver to make a move at the moment. He's all over the back of T here as they come out of Anthony Nogues once again. But it's so hard to get good enough drive to make a move down this pit straight here at Monaco, and we're seeing it. We've seen it time and time again over the seasons, and it's nigh on impossible to make an overtake around this track. You have to be so close out of that last corner to have a chance. Matty Pitt now closing up onto the back of Mango as they come up the hill. Trucky's got ahead of White Shadow up into 9th place, and that's because White Shadow's gone straight on at Rosberg corner, I think. Is it? No, it's actually the corner before. So I thought he'd taken to the runoff going through Massenet, but he hadn't. He'd actually gone off at that previous corner going through Casino. So White Shadow nonetheless has dropped a bit of time here. He's now only a couple of seconds ahead of Matty Pitt and Mango running 11th and 12th places. Justify still has to lead by 2.5 seconds ahead of Trauger, as we've got G.C. trying to close the gap here on the back of Scott for the time being. C. Faulkner trying to cling to the back of C-Mac at this point as well. There's Rexy Boy, who seems to have fallen off of Faulkner quite considerably at this point. See Faulkner looking a bit more likely to gain a position than he is to lose one, but too far away to come out of Anthony Nogues on this occasion, and he's going to have to continue to wait here in this one. So White Shadows into the pits here at the end of lap 4, so coming in for a relatively early stop here. Let's get the tyre graphic up because it's going to give us a lot of info in terms of strategy once drivers have made their first pit stop. White Shadow driver who started on the soft tyres. John obviously starting on the hards, has put the mediums on already here in this one. But White Shadow getting those soft tyres off and out and onto the track once again here. But Justify with a 3-second gap at the moment over Drauger, so he's doing a good job.
Formula One.
See Faulkner looking like he's fallen off the back of C-Mac a bit. He was very close to him a few moments ago. Gap was only 0.3 of a second, but seems to have just lost a bit of ground here. And Rexy Boy looking like he might be a bit of a threat of getting within that DRS range of him at the moment. John's also on the back of Smart Pleasure, although I don't know if Smart Pleasure's overtaken him or if John's closing up onto him. As they come into the Nouvelle chicane, can John keep tabs at him and put him under some pressure here? So we're riding on board with the Ferrari here, coming through the harbour and now into the swimming pool. Through Raskas we go, and down towards Anthony Nogues. Is he going to have a chance? Oh, Smart Pleasure there was all wrong coming out of the final corner. That could have presented John with an opportunity, but he's just not quite close enough this time around. He would have been getting a little bit excited there seeing that, but couldn't quite get himself within range to do anything about it. C. Faulkner has got a 3-second penalty here for track limits. He's the first driver in this race to pick up a 3-second penalty. I'm sure he won't be the last though. As Truckee has crashed out of the race. Where has he crashed out? Let's try and see where Truckee's binned it. Riding on board with Matty, and there he is. So he's in the wall on the exit of Tabac going into the harbour chicane. So Truckee out of the race. Is that a safety car? I'm not quite sure at this moment. I think it is, yeah. I just saw a blue dot overtaking a yellow dot on the mini-map, so I'm pretty sure we got a safety car here. So that is going to spice things up a little bit. So we see a lot of drivers coming into the pits now. Got T in the pits as well as C-Mac, Rexy Boy, C. Faulkner and Matty Pitt. And fresh tyres are going to be going on a lot of these drivers. I think that there were a few guys who were already past the pit lane, or put an entry at the time that the safety car was deployed. So drivers like Justify, Drauger, Scott, G.C. were not able to take advantage of the timing of that safety car. Some support coming in for Scott in the comments. Ryan saying, "Let's lock in, man." Currently Scott P3 at the moment, but he's got warm medium tyres and a lot of the guys behind him have got fresh hards, although I think these guys should get a chance to come in on the second lap of the safety car and not lose position. I think because they haven't picked up a safety car yet, so it should be possible for these guys to come in and get a half price pit stop. It will essentially be a free pit stop because the guys behind restricted to their speed. But Scott coming into the pits. G.C. has got a drive-through penalty for speeding on the safety car as McLaren are double stacking here. So Drauger into the pits, so Scott, G.C. and Justify also came into the pits. So it's just going to basically reset the race as it was, but everyone's got fresh tyres basically, I think. There's T coming through the final few corners, so Scott will maintain track position. So the top four coming out as they were, and no real changes, to be honest with you. Nothing that I can really see on the classification at the moment. Matty Pitt is a driver who's gained a little bit from this whole situation. He's now running in 9th place after being down at the back in the first couple of the laps. So Matty's the driver who has lucked into a bit of a fortune here so far. in this race. But lap 8 of this 39 lap race here at Monaco for the Purple Sector Formula 1 League, round 3 of this 14 round season for season 15, and we've got probably a lap and a bit, or probably just under 2 laps of this safety car period to go, because the drivers are very spread out on the track. So I reckon lap 9, could even be lap 10. It'll be a little while, I reckon, until we get this underway. Oh dear. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So here we go then, everybody, as we're moments away from the restart for the Monaco Grand Prix here at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. About to start lap 11 of this 39 lap race. We've got Justify leading the way, having led the opening stint, but we got a bit of a switch up in terms of tyre strategy now. Justify the medium tyres as he ran in the first stint. Draga's gone for the hard tyres. We've got G.C. on the softs, who's going to be looking to try and make a bit of a break for it, but nonetheless, we're coming towards the end of lap 11 here. I was just watching the wrong monitor, I do apologise, everybody. But nonetheless, we've got we've got Justify here coming around the final corner here. So G.C. unable to make an impression on those fresh soft tyres so far here. Has got himself a track limits penalty as well, which is not going to have helped matters at all. As there they will come through turn 1 here once again. So what Street Boy here making a move potentially on Smart Pleasure. His teammate goes around the outside of Sandoval. Oh, and there's a bit of contact there as Smart Pleasure was not willing to give that one up there. Street Boy squeezes around the outside, and that looks like that's job done, but it was at what cost there, as Smart Pleasure's front wing definitely lost a little bit of its integrity there. Has the stream gone down? I hope it hasn't. No, it hasn't. It's okay. It's all good. Whew. Dear oh dear. Right. But now jumping up onto the back of Smart Pleasure here in this fight for 14th place. This could be a move for position very shortly. Justify already starting to gap Draga out the front, over a second between those two. G.C. unable to keep up with Draga as well at this point. We've got Rexy Boy. Seems to be sticking pretty close to C-Mac at the moment, but as we've seen so far here around this circuit, overtaking is really quite a challenge. And have we got another safety car? I think we may well have here. Glenn is out of the race, which means that I think that's what's triggered it. So safety car, I think they're going to pick it up here. Yep. So here we go then. Normal service resumed. And G.C. let's put the intermediate tyres on. Not quite sure. Oh, is that a loophole? Is that a loophole? I don't know about this, but I'm just literally like thinking on the spot here. Is that a loophole? If you use the inters, then it means that you don't have to use two different compounds? Is that how it works? Or is it actually raining? Is it actually raining? It's not raining, is it? Are these guys trying to preempt what the weather forecast is saying? Because I can't see rain. It does not look like there's rain to me. Let's go on board with G.C. the race leader at the moment. Not the race leader, sorry. The guy who's put the intermediate tyres on, should I say? Am I? Is that a precursor? Is that a sign? Well, Justify is leading the race. I can't see any spray. I can't see any raindrops on the camera. There's no indication whatsoever that there is any rain in the air at the moment. Not even here or nearly here or anything. So I'm not quite sure where this, I guess, preemptive kind of strategizing from those two G.C. and White Shadows coming from, but the leaders are coming through to start the next lap, lap 14 under safety car, and it looks like, well, the track's bone dry. There's no rain in the air. There's no sign that there's going to be any need to change tyres. So I really don't know what's going on there. That's quite a strange one. Yeah, that is peculiar. But C-Mac has come into the pits for a change of tyres, but he's put the soft tyres on, not the intermediate tyres on. Oh man, that's a weird one, I have to say. Oh, I should have gone for a piss. I don't think I've got time now. Oh no. What was I thinking? No, it's alright, I'll get another chance, it's fine. Don't worry, I'm not worried. So there we are already, confirmation safety cars coming in. So we can get this Monaco Grand Prix back on the road here. We got Justify leading the way with Draga second, Scott in third place, followed by T with Rexy Boy completing the top 5 drivers. C Faulkner in P6, and you've got 2 drivers on the intermediate tyres here, G.C. and White Shadow Hull, but no rain in the air, no rain, no moisture on the track, so goodness knows what they're expecting those tyres to do on this restart, as G.C. there is seemingly struggling already. All over the place there as he goes up the hill. Matty Pitt making his way through, as it seems like he's retired from the session, so he's rage quit there as G.C. I mean, White Shadow Hull's got to be experiencing similar difficulties at this point, but they're all coming down this towards the end of the first sector. There's Matty, there's Mango, there's Street Boy ahead of Smart Pleasure completing the top 10. You've got White Shadow ahead of C-Mac with John, but the race leader is Justify. 3 drivers down from the 16 that started here tonight, 13 still out there on the track at this moment, as Justify leads them coming down towards Nouvelle Chicane. Once again, Draga is crawling all over the back of him at the moment on those hard tyres. The medium tyres at Justify haven't really done a great distance at this point, because obviously we've been under safety car for the majority of this stint, so it's not like he's had to take much out of them at this point. C-Mac there straight on over the chicane, and what's happening here as C-Mac there getting back ahead of White Shadow going into back, so not sure exactly what went on there, but Justify nonetheless is into the pits here at the end of lap 15, the race leader. Surely it's not going to be wet tyres. Wow, okay. Well, there is a little bit of rain falling now. It's not much, but there is a tiny bit of rain falling in the air at the moment, so maybe Justify is trying to anticipate what's coming in a lap or two's time. Problem is, those tyres are going to really overheat whilst he's trying to get them up to temperature, so I don't know if this is a good decision, but we do see a couple more drivers coming in. Street Boys coming for some inters, as well as John at this point, so a few drivers coming in. G.C. says, imagine trying to serve your drive through a safety car, comes out and then disqualified for doing what you tried to do this game. Oh yeah, that's the rule. Didn't you know that in F1? You can't serve a drive through under safety car. You can do a 10-second penalty, I think, or maybe not actually, I don't know, but yeah, you can't do a drive through penalty under safety car. That's been a rule in F1, I think, for donkeys, that is. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, because sometimes when you've got a penalty and you come in under a safety car, you think, oh, what a relief, like what a great opportunity, and then it's like, oh no, you're not allowed to do that. There's so many things in F1, there's so many loopholes that aren't covered up that you're allowed to do and get away with it in F1, but that's not one of them. That's something they've patched many years ago. But Scott into the pits to get some fresh tyres on. He's gone for the inters as well, so clearly drivers starting to try and be ahead of the game here with this one. I'd say the track is still dry at this point, but it's starting to get a little bit slippery actually. Draga's struggling here as he goes through the casino section. You've got the Rexy Boy in second place. How's he faring through this same part of the track? He seems to be a bit better, a bit more glued to the track here, Rexy Boy, than what we saw from Draga a few moments ago. Matty Pitt also still out there on the hard tyres. There's C-Mac sliding around there on those fresher hard tyres than what we see Matty Pitt on. Scott now leading the charge of intermediate runners, having just put them on. Justify there running in P6. Justify did lose track position to Scott, so for that lap that Scott stayed out on the 6, they were the quicker tyre than Justify, but I think Justify's tyres a bit more at temperature at this point, and he's trying to make that move there on Scott as he went through the Lowe's hairpin, but couldn't quite do it for the time being. But this race now starting to unravel a little bit here. Smart Pleasure up into 12th place. That's because Mango is in the pits and off and away on the intermediate tyres. So just four drivers, should I say, still yet to put the inters on. Drauger currently out in front. Is anybody just going to roll the dice and try and stick with it during this tricky period of the race? As we've got Rexy Boy here coming through the final couple of corners now. Does he stay out? No. Dives into the pits. Drauger and Rexy Boy both in. What about Matty and C-Mac? These guys about 5 seconds clear of the intermediate runners, and they're also diving in now as well. So it looks like the whole field's going to be on inters after this lap, and it's going to release these two into a net 1 and 2 here, or first and second on the road. Oh, in fact, only just. Drauger's almost about to come out in front of them here. Has Drauger pulled off an absolute masterstroke? Scott just moving ahead of his teammate as they come up the hill. And this has worked out beautifully with McLaren here, because now Drauger slots in between Scott and Justify. So Drauger can play the team game here. Can he get his tyres up to temperature quickly enough to be able to defend here from Justify? Or is Justify going to mug him whilst he's trying to bring those tyres in? At this point, it looks like Drauger's slotted in beautifully here for McLaren. So this has worked out a treat, and Scott's fans in the YouTube chat are now going to be absolutely over the moon here with this one, because Scott is now in command here in this Monaco Grand Prix here at the purple sector tonight. And he is well and truly lucked into a bit of a, well, to be fair, I suppose you make your own luck. You do have to do your own strategy on F1 25, unless of course he's got a ghost race engineer, but I don't, as far as I know, he hasn't, but who knows, he could do. Could be one of you lot in the comments, but I don't know that for a fact. But Scott leading the race ahead of Drauger and Justify at the moment. These three currently tied at the hip in the fight for the lead. We've got a bit of a gap back to White Shadow, who's got T and C Faulkner on the back of him. Rexy Boy not too far away from them as well, looking to try and chase him down for a potential 4th place here in this race. Still a long way to go here in this one. But out the front, Scott has managed to pull over a second here to these two. I imagine DRS will be disabled shortly if it hasn't already. I don't think it's been disabled. I haven't seen it come up, but then again, we've been trying to keep tabs on a few things, so maybe it has and maybe I've just missed it. But I'll tell you what, in these tricky conditions, and we've seen it so many times in the past, my nickname for Scott is always the Rainmaster, because he always seems to excel in wet, tricky, changeable conditions. He seems to always step up to the plate, and once again, it seems like in these conditions he's maybe just a step ahead of these two. Justify seems to be the one to beat in the dry, but so often the wet can change things up in terms of the state of play. Smart Pleasure has crashed out of the race here, but the safety car has not been deployed, so I think it's going to be either a VSC or just double wave yellow flags. Looks like it might be a VSC. Is it? No, I think they're still going full pelt, so no VSC at the moment. They're going to continue to drive along for the time being then. It's just double wave yellow flags through sector 1 by the looks of it, or just through turns 1 and 2 actually. And they've already subsided, so we're back underway in earnest here. But Scott leading ahead of Drauger and Justify, and now the gap's starting to form here between these three guys. We've got White Shadow still just ahead of T and C Faulkner, and Rexy Boy right with them as well. So we've got a 4-way fight here for 4th place as they're coming down towards Sandoval. And John's out of the race as well now. So John has crashed, I think, through the final sector. He's riding a with Mango here to try and catch a glimpse of where John might have ended up in the barriers here. So I think it was just going into, I think it was just coming out of the harbour into the swimming pool area, I think, where it might have happened. Street Boy there getting a drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC. But we've got a 4-way fight here for 4th place. White Shadow T, C Faulkner and Rexy Boy at the moment, all in close contention. As we see the V-carb there getting out of it. White Shadow losing out to T and C Faulkner as a result of that. C-Max got a 10-second penalty for cutting. Oh, and a Haas there. C Faulkner losing it there on the exit of the Harbour chicane. And White Shadow missing his front wing. So that's been carnage there between those two. And the game has already called it in favour of C Faulkner there, giving White Shadow a penalty for that collision. So White Shadow's going to have to come in and get that front wing fixed. C Faulkner is out of the race. And for all the things we've had safety cars here in this race for, and you have a car that's just crashed out of the race and nothing. It's just just makes not a whole lot of sense, I have to say. But nonetheless, that is the situation there. So White Shadow into the pits to get that fixed, one would assume. Scott there still out the front leading the race at this moment in time. But I think the race is going to continue on. We have got a full course caution, a VSC at the very least. Don't think it's a safety car. I didn't see it come out of the pits, didn't see a dot travelling at slow speed, but I think it's just a VSC for the time being. But Scott still out in front leading the race. Draga's coming under a bit of pressure here from Justify. In the fight for second place, these two pretty close at this point, has to be said. But I'll tell you what, we've still got a VSC. I think it's now done. So Street Boy's got a drive-through for speeding under the VSC. But looks like we're back underway here. So Scott still leading the race by 2.5 seconds here ahead of Draga and Justify, and these two currently locked horns in a fight over second place. No, you're right. You're right.
What are you watching now?
I'm commentating on a race, aren't I?
Formula One.
Well, it's based on Formula One. Yeah. Get the door. No. Close the door properly. Don't leave it open, because when they open the door, the vacuum causes it to swing open. Nana, can you close the door properly? Nana! Oh, for God's sake. Our carers are going to be here in a minute. They're going to come in. The heavy front door is going to swing and it's going to cause all the doors to fly open. Oh. Sorry, do apologise everybody. So anyway, T-Sid just ahead of Rexboy at the moment in this fight for 4th place. Scott's got the gap just under 2 seconds here over Jaguar at the moment, but Justify trying to keep tabs here as these top three separated by just under 4 seconds at the moment. So currently 3 drivers with penalties at this moment in time. We've got C-Mag, White Shadow and Street Boy. Only drivers to have overstepped the mark in terms of track limits at this moment. They're still in the race, which is actually pretty impressive when you consider that, to be fair. That's an interesting stat. It's an impressive stat here for Pebble Sector tonight. We've got Rexy Boy here trying to close up onto the back of T a little bit in this fight for 4th and 5th as they're going through the hairpin here. Matty Pitt a couple of seconds behind them in P6 at this moment. Scott's still out the front controlling the race, but Draga's managed to gap Justify a little bit now that the rain's really settled in. Draga seems to be excelling a bit. Has definitely closed the gap to the Rainmaster over the last couple of laps. Has certainly got himself out of the woods with Justify, who doesn't seem quite able to go with the front two at the moment. Rexy Boy still keeping T on his toes at the moment. Though he's lost a little bit through this, through those last few corners there. Matty Pitt could potentially be bringing himself into the fight here with these two, and this could be a trio fighting over 4th place pretty shortly. The Street Boy into the pits here at the end of lap 24. He's coming into, don't know if he's going to put some dry tyres on maybe. I mean, it's definitely not. Look at it. There's no chance. What's he going to put on? Another set of inters for Street Boy. No wet tyres. Track's not wet enough for wet tyres, but certainly I think a new front wing and some fresh inters might do the trick. Scott's just got some traffic up in front of him now, which appears to be, is it Mango? Yep. So the Aston there moves well out of the way, lets Scott continue on his way. Drago will be coming up in a second as well to put a lap there on the Aston. We've got Justify a couple of seconds behind him. They're in 3rd place at this point. We've got Rexy Boy still keeping the pressure on the back of T in this fight for 4th. As they're coming in, Sandoval once again here. But as they come round through the tunnel here on lap 26, and Scott still looking in cruise control at this point, has maintained the gap to Drago over the last few laps. Drago has done well to keep him in sight over these last few laps. Drago's also extended the gap considerably to Justify now, and he's actually closer to Scott than Justify is to him. So Rex Boy still on the back of T in this fight for 4th place. Matty's not too far behind there as well. About a second off of these guys at this point. So continuing to keep each other on their toes. There's the carers. But Rexy Boy here on the back of T as they're coming down towards turn 1 once again. Just seems a bit too far back. Almost ran into the back of him there, didn't he? I'll tell you what, that was pretty close. My phone hasn't been charging this entire time. It's almost dead. For God's sake. It's bloody ridiculous. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the charger whatsoever. It's no sign of wear, nothing. It's just clearly fine, but something internal just obviously isn't working properly. I'll tell you what, Drago's done bits over these last couple of laps. Has now brought himself well into contention here in this fight for the win. He's only just under 2 seconds now behind Scott. Can really with a safety car here to fix my charger to make sure it's actually charging, and maybe go to the loo. Probably not, because we've got company now. I don't know. It's alright. It can wait. Right, anyway, Rexy Boy on the back of T in this fight for 4th place. as they come up the hill once again. Oh, it's T there. Did a bit of a fishtail there as he went up the hill. And Rexy Boy is able to potentially put some more pressure on him here as they come down the hill towards Massenet once again. Lap time is falling off here. 4 seconds off of their dry pace in the first sector alone. That just tells the story, doesn't it, really? Scott there getting a 3-second penalty for track limits. These two coming through Portier and up through the tunnel once again here. White Shadow has put the wet tyres on. I mean, to be fair, it's probably getting to that point. I don't know if it's going to pay dividends probably over 11 laps. It might well pay dividends. I mean, you'd have to make up about 1.5 seconds, maybe 2 seconds a lap for it to work out. But it'd be interesting now to see what White Shadow's doing in terms of sector times. I think he's falling away from C-Mac at the moment, but if that trend reverses, then that'll be a key indicator that maybe it might be time for the wet tyres for most of the others here. Although he does appear to be falling back at the moment, but that could change. That could change if the rain continues to fall like it is at the moment. In the meantime, Drauger's taken the lead of the race. How did we miss that? How on earth did we miss that? Drauger is now leading. Not only has he caught up to Scott, he's now made the move for the lead. Scott has got a penalty as well. So Scott has started to fall apart here as we approach the final part of the race. Goodness knows when that happened. I do apologise to the Scott fan club for not covering this. And Scott could be in trouble here. I tell you what, maybe he needs to throw the wet tyres on and try something. Oh, has he disconnected? Do you know what? His car's ghosting. I think he might have disconnected here. In which case it would explain. No, he's not. Is he? I don't think he is. No, he's not. No, he's not. Sorry, I do apologise. It's just my... just the way the lights are shining on the cars now with the wet conditions. Obviously the spray made me think for a second that he was ghosting, but he's not. But his teammate's overtaken him for the lead, and he's just throwing back a couple of tenths here through this first sector to try and keep himself in this hunt. But over the last few laps, Drauger's been closing and closing. Not by much. Drauger hasn't been clearly quicker, but he's been chipping away over these last few laps. And I think Scott might have made a mistake, because we know how difficult overtaking is around this track. Maybe he's just gone a bit wide or something, but Drauger's managed to take the lead here as we're on lap 30 with less than 10 laps to go here in this Monaco Grand Prix at Purple Sector. It's Drauger who has the advantage ahead of the two-time race winner so far this season, Scott, and the two-time second place driver so far this season, Justify, running in the final podium spot at the moment. So Drauger could be the one to upstage the two big guns so far this season. So Drauger coming over the line here to start lap 31 of the race. Gap currently just over a second here between Drauger and Scott at the moment. We've got Rexy Boy on the back of T in this fight for 4th place as well. So about a second ahead of Matty Pitt running in P6. But there they are then. T and Rexy Boy here coming out of the chicane once again as they come into the back, and C-Mac has just crashed out of the race. And we have got ourselves a safety car, and this is exactly what I needed here, because now I can try and plug my phone in and put it on charge. My goodness me, I've waited so long for this. Right. Hello, Nana.
It's the baby. I'm just watching Formula One.
Could say that. There we go then, everybody. Safety car confirmed, is coming in this lap. So got a 5-lap dash to the flag here for this Monaco Grand Prix in these still wet conditions. The rain's kind of just eased off a little bit, so we might potentially be seeing a slightly faster lap times than what we've seen in the last few laps. The dry line there is looking a bit more pronounced, but here we are then, over the line to start lap 35 of the race. It's the two McLarens out the front. The big news though is that Jalga didn't come into the pits during that last safety car, so he's got very worn out intermediate tyres. Scott has got 13 lap pressure. Justify has dropped off massively off of these two on this restart. I'm not really sure why, but Justify just was sleeping there off the restart. I don't know, maybe we just got to the maximum length that the safety car come out and he hadn't caught up. But I mean, regardless, I mean, he's a long way behind. But the two McLarens here coming through Portier. Justify's already closing the gap as Scott's currently stuck behind his teammate who's on those worn out intermediates. We know how difficult this track is to overtake. Even if Scott's got 2 or 3 seconds a lap on him, it's going to be hard for him to make that move, but he's going to dive at the inside here into the Nouvelle chicane. He seems to have made that one stick. Justify's got a 3-second penalty for holding on to position whilst cutting the corner, and now they're even on penalties. So Drauga there with 3 seconds, Scott with 3 seconds, and Drauga waves him through, says, "I'm sorry mate, that was a bit unfair of me," and has gone and conceded the position. Now is he going to play the team game and try and keep Justify at bay here with just over 4 laps left to go? Justify looking to start at the inside of Raskas, but Drauga there closing the door, and it looks like for the time being Scott may have had the race handed to him here, with his teammate doing the sporting thing and waving him through there, through to back. But Scott there ahead of Drauga. Justify there in 3rd place, and now Drauga's going to try and keep Justify at bay in these final few laps of the race. This is going to be, it's going to be exciting to see how this pans out here because Justify doesn't have a penalty, so if he can get ahead of Drauga and get within 3 seconds of Scott, then he will be the race winner tonight. But that's a big if, as he looks to the inside there going down towards Massenet. He's got to try and find a space here. Obviously his teammate made the move into the Nouvelle chicane on the previous lap. Can Justify get a good run through the tunnel and maybe try and exploit that space where his teammate, where Drauga's teammate did on the previous lap? But Justify coming out of Portier once again here. He's too far back. He's way too far back to make a move into the chicane, and Drauga looks comfortable for the time being on those worn out tyres in that part of the track, but who knows what it'll be like over the next 3.5 laps. Scott here coming through to back. There's Drauga and Justify in the background. Big gap back to T, running in 4th place ahead of Rexy Boy, who's a further 10 seconds back in 5th. Matty Pitt not too far off of Rexy Boy. You've got White Shadow, Street Boy and Mango all still going here in this race, but Scott here coming through the final few corners, about to complete lap 36 of the race. There are the other two in the podium places right now. Justify still unable to dispatch the other McLaren here of Drauga, and the longer that he takes to make this move, the further that Scott's going to be up the road on his fresher tyres compared to his teammate, who is currently the thorn in the side here for the Aston Martin driver as they come up the hill once again. Where can Justify find a position? Where can he find this opportunity to make a lunge where he feels confident that he can do it? Oh, and that was a big twitch there from Drauga, but Justify, unfortunately for him, just kind of got sideways in exactly the same spot that Drauga did. and he's struggling to get close enough to make a lunge here. And obviously at this point he doesn't want to throw away 15 points, doesn't want to throw away 18 points, because he could still get second. Ideally he wants 25, but that might just be slipping away from him here. Justify here still on the back of Drauga here, coming down towards the new chicane once again, still keeping him on his toes, still trying to find an opening, but at the moment Drauga is not leaving anything on the table. And Drauga is doing a brilliant defensive job here for his teammate, who's leading the championship after winning the first 2 races of the season at China and Bahrain. And it's looking like Scott is going to make it 3 from 3 at the moment with 2 laps left to go. He's got 6.5 seconds to Drauga, 7 seconds to the driver who could most realistically take it away from him, being that Justify hasn't got a penalty. But at the moment I think he's got too much work to do and too little time to get it done, so it's going to be Scott, I think, unless he stacks it in the fence here in the final 2 laps. But can Justify get second at least and minimise the damage that his championship rival is going to inflict on him here in this one? As Drauga there tapping the wall on the inside on that long left-hander. Here we go then. Justify needs to not get it wrong this time. To be fair, neither of them did this time, but both of them, unfortunately for Justify, getting through unscathed as they come through Lowe's hairpin here on lap 38 of the race. Lap and a half to go. And where can Justify make this one happen then? Out through the tunnel once again. I think Justify might be better off settling for 3rd place here. He'd still be in touch with Scott. The gap would be 24 points after tonight if he can bring it home in P3. The gap was 14 points. It'll be 10 points more than what it was. So it's not all doom and gloom. It has to be very much in contention here in this fight, but Scott threatening to walk away with it here this season after what's going to be a 3 from 3 if he can just get around this final lap, which is looking like he's going to do, as Scott is just starting the final lap now. But for the other 2 here in the podium places, Justify seemed to have it all under control in the dry conditions. It just looked like it was going to be his night until the rain came, and once the rain came, Scott, as ever the case with the rain master, stepped up to the plate and has navigated these tricky conditions absolutely superbly. And as they come through past Casino for the final time here, a big slide there from Drauga on his very worn tyres. But as we know, this track, nigh on impossible to overtake, even when you've got a massive tyre delta. As long as you park your car in the right places, as long as you don't put it in the wall, it's pretty much impossible to make a move. And as they're coming through out of Portier here, half a lap to go in this one, it's looking like Drauga's done enough here to at least get his teammate the win and potentially also get himself a 2nd place. Oh no, actually he won't, because Justify's got a penalty, so Justify will take 2nd anyway. But Drauga's done a brilliant job for his teammate. He has won his teammate this race. There is no doubt about that. He has won his teammate this race. Scott had to do it, obviously had to be in the right place at the right time. He's been the master in the rain, but Drauga halting Justify and halting his charge here in his final stint has won Scott this race. Scott here coming through the final corner, Anthony Noakes, and he's going to come up to the line to win the Monaco Grand Prix here at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League in these changeable conditions tonight. A fantastic drive there from Scott, just made it work. Took every opportunity here tonight that was given to him. Drauga is going to come over here in 2nd place with a fantastic defensive drive. It's a McLaren 1-2 on the track, but Justify gets it 2nd on the penalty. So it's Scott, Justify, Drauga the top 3 in the end. Justify does keep the gap to 21 points in the championship to his main rival Scott after tonight. So it's a damage limitation there from him getting that 2nd spot. We've got T here up towards the line to take 4th place here, just ahead of Rexy Boy, who's going to finish in 5th. Just realised I don't think I turned my mic back on after, did I? Oh, I did, thank goodness for that. Oh, thank goodness for that. I thought for a second I might not have put it back on after I had to put my phone on charge. That is that then, guys, for tonight. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Lots of people tuning in tonight and commenting, and really enjoyed the company on the stream. Thanks to the drivers at Purple Sector for putting on a great show, and thanks to Matty Pitt and T as always for having me. And we'll see you all for the next one for round 4 of the season, same time as always, 8 PM UK time. Yeah, you know the drill. And next week it will be Spanish Grand Prix at Barcelona for that one, so that'll be exciting. And yeah, can't wait. Looking forward to it already. Cheers, guys, and good night.